Well, Craig, welcome.
Thank
How
you.
has Dublin Comic Con been so far for you?
It's been amazing. I met so many incredible people, and a lot of ghosts.
Yeah, I
You call it,
imagine so.
Gerry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to guess this, but I imagine this isn't your first trip to Ireland, is it?
You know what? This is my first
Really?
trip, not to Ireland, but my first time in Dublin.
Okay.
That's why I jumped at the chance. I've done Belfast, but always had an inkling and a want to come to Dublin, and then this popped up. So it was amazing, great
Have you
opportunity.
have you seen much of it though while you've been here? Have you been here for a few days beforehand, or?
Yeah, no, I got here on Friday. When I finish, I usually have a lovely walk around the town because you've been sitting down all day. Um, yeah, it's beautiful. Grafton Street and the architecture around the colleges and the big Georgian squares across the road. Um, yeah, is it Merrion
Marion
Square?
Square.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
walked all around there because I just love that type of architecture. It's beautiful.
You've got older buildings, your parks and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So I'm assuming that's what you're into. You like exploring.
I do. Yeah, yeah. And I've got the wife with me, so we've made a trip.
That's what you have to.
Yeah,
You have to. Well, you have to keep them
yeah,
happy.
exactly.
um, is it Mother's Day over in?
It's Mother's Day.
It is
Yeah,
Mother's Day in
yeah,
England as
yeah.
well.
It
Okay,
is. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So acting. I'm presuming you wanted to do it from a young age.
Yes. Uh, from about the age of 15, 16, I wanted to be an actor. I used to go to the pictures with my dad and we watched loads of films, and I was always fascinated by the Lee Marvins, the John Waynes, the Kirk Douglases, just them type of actors. Burt Lancaster,
Yeah.
just the men.
Yeah.
The fellas who were
The
like,
tough guys.
yeah, the tough
Yeah,
guys.
the
Yeah,
tough
yeah,
guys.
yeah, yeah.
Did you take inspiration from them? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
inspiration from them. Yeah.
yeah.
So when you got into acting, what was the type of role that you wanted to play? What was the type of acting that you wanted
Well,
to
to
do?
be honest with you, I've always been a bit smart around that. I knew because as I got to 17, 18, hitting 6'3" and having a certain build and starting training, I always knew that my physicality would have quite it would go with me, but also go against me.
Yeah.
So I knew I was either going to play villains or police. Yeah, it's just one of them things. Yeah.
So when you started though, you're and even to now you're into your fitness. You like to keep fit. Was that a huge part of when you started acting? To keep fit, to keep yourself big and
Yeah, it was because it was quite unusual then. And I grew up in an area where everybody just went to the gym, they trained. It was just part and parcel of growing up. And I sort of used that. It also helped me mentally as well because it was a discipline that I found comfort in. When I was traveling, when I started going out to Los Angeles, the gym in the day had always set me up for, a lot of letdown, a lot of great stuff. But
yeah.
that was a sort of, I found solace in the gym. You'd go there and you get rid of all the negativity, when you have a good sweat.
Yeah, you tend to get rid of a lot of frustration in the
Yeah,
gym,
you
so
do.
that helped you
Yeah,
with
yeah,
auditions and
yeah.
getting those no's that you would
Yes,
get along
and
the
there was
way.
loads of those. Yeah,
Well, a lot of yeses as well. Now, in
yeah,
fairness, a lot
yeah,
of yeses.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you went to Hollywood, and one of your first big roles was in Cliffhanger.
It was, yeah. I was in a show called Prime Suspect. I had a small role in it, and an agent saw me, said to my agent, "Oh, you should get Craig to come over." And I was doing nothing, and I thought, you know what a great excuse to go to America. So I saved some money up, and I went for 6 weeks, and I was lucky enough to land a small role in a massive movie, which was Sylvester Stallone's Cliffhanger. And it was an incredible experience. 6 months in Italy, had a great time. I still look at it now, and I look at Stallone with, I've got so much emotional baggage there that it was such a big deal at the time.
Obviously,
You
one
know.
of your first big roles. So that's obviously still really stays with you
Yeah,
to this day. What was it like working on that set with
that was
the people
incredible.
there?
It was incredible. When you work on a giant Hollywood movie, that was over $100 million budget. So it was incredible experience just to see how it works, the big films.
Were you prepared for just how big of a scale it would be?
No, I wasn't. And it wasn't until the film came out. And every time I watch it, I just wish I could go back and reshoot all of my scenes. because when you're learning and you're young, it's not easy. It can be a little bit intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've done obviously a mixture of films. You do a lot of films, but a lot of TV as well.
Yeah.
So I want to bring you back a little bit. You've been on various soaps, but the main one you were in obviously was EastEnders.
It was, yeah. Yeah.
So what was Peggy Mitchell really like?
She was lovely. She was lovely. Bless her.
What was it like?
Babs,
So
rest in peace.
when you look at, say you're filming, say Cliffhanger, 6 months in Italy, you're doing a soap, something like EastEnders. That's constant. It's no real breaks. What's it like mentally for something like that?
You know what? I think it made me a better actor, because when you're working on them schedules and you're in a main storyline, and the show was different then. It was 4 episodes a week, and it was very intense. But when you are in a big storyline, you're there. You leave in the dark. You leave your home in the dark. You go home in the dark, and it's relentless. Big storylines. It's pressure, but it's a fantastic pressure, because you leave there. I've been in situations in my life. I've been lucky enough to visit over 30 countries worldwide, being employed as an actor. But I've been in situations on other big movies where I've had a little bit of a situation where I've had to fall back mentally and say to myself, take a deep breath and go, if you can do EastEnders, you can do anything. And I mean that.
Yeah. I can imagine, obviously, when you get a script for a movie, it's one script and you have to learn the lines. But something like EastEnders is a constant rolling script constantly.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
You just do. It's short-term memory. It just kicks in. You're there every day. All I found is I never go on holiday, because you go on holiday for 2 weeks, you come back and it was like, you can't remember your name. It was like, but when you're doing it, day in, day out. Yeah.
So that was in kind of the late 90s, early 90s, but you've done so much. Like I'm looking through your catalog.
Nobody's done what I've done since leaving the show.
Yeah.
I'm not being funny. I'm blowing my own trumpet here, because I do it every now and again. I've done like 30 movies since I left. Unfortunately, that you can get tinged in when you do a soap, that a lot of people leave and you never see them again.
Yeah.
But I've been very lucky with the computer games, the films, the TV. But a lot of good actors and a lot of actors have got great careers now, who have cut their teeth in the soaps. They're not frowned upon anymore. They're a place where you go to learn your craft.
Yeah. I think a lot of 100% there. A lot of young actors will specifically go for something like that, just to kind of get the experience.
Yeah, you need it
to help it, because you're an actor. You can't just walk onto a set and you expect to have a job.
No.
So a lot of young actors are going for smaller roles, going for soaps and stuff like that. A lot of people will do those things. So you did that as you were coming up.
Yeah,
we went for obviously the smaller roles.
Of course I did everything. There's no cutting across the field when you want to be an actor. You've got to start off doing stuff that you may feel uncomfortable doing, small stuff. But it's not about that. It's about starting out, getting on that ladder, and just keep growing as an actor and taking on roles and doing what you can. And if you're lucky enough, and I mean if you're lucky enough, of preparation meeting opportunity, as the Chinese say, and you're ready when that role comes in, and you nick that role at the audition, and it's a big role, and it can have some warrant on your career as an actor, and then people look at you differently, and then you get offers from other work, then you just keep doing it. It's been for me, it's been a really, really, it's been a difficult journey. It's not been easy.
But you've gone through that, and you are now in a position where you're getting these big roles. How does it feel that you've done all that work now? Can you say, right, I can kind of calm down now?
No, never.
No,
because it's just as hard. And you know what? And I'll be brutally honest. I'm not up here, like some of these big giant stars, but I have a really solid career in independent film. I did like One Piece last year. I did Boat Story, that's out on the BBC. Very, very highly regarded TV shows. And I'm headlining the strongest crime franchise in the UK, which is A Rise of the Foot Soldier series of films. We just did 6. It was incredibly successful, box office in the UK. It smashed it on the streaming platforms. Number 7 is being fast-tracked already into production. I'm very, very grateful for where I am in myself, in my head, on what I'm actually doing. You know,
You brought up Foot Soldier there. It seems to be incredibly popular, incredibly successful. But when you did the first one, did you think this is going to go the way it's going to go, or do you think this is just another movie?
I just thought it was just another British independent film, to be honest with you. And you never know what you're a part of. You know, and it doesn't matter who's in it, who's making it, who's directing it, who's wrote. Nobody knows. You make something, you pray that you're going to get that magic. And The Rise of the Foot Soldier, the first film, it's got a 6.8 rating on IMDb. It's the most successful indie crime film from the UK ever made. It's amazing. Yeah.
So when you took on that role, what was the process to kind of get into the character? Pat Tate, isn't it?
Yeah, Pat Tate. Yeah.
How easy was it for you to get into that role? Or was
Quite easy. It was easy. Yeah, I not saying, you know, I just found it. The dialogue was comfortable for me. Obviously, the guy was a Londoner. Anyone who doesn't know these films, it's about three guys who got murdered in the Range Rovers in the 90s, and it's spawned a series of films. But no, I just found it. I've always tried to make my acting, what I do, as real as possible. You know, as believable and as real as possible.
So when you do a role like that, obviously you don't really have to change your voice or anything like that. You're a Londoner. That's the type of role that you do. Do you prefer to do stuff like that, or do you want to branch out, kind of try and do different things, different voices?
I've done that. You know, I'm not. I mean, accents. I mean, the last 5 movies I've done. I mean, Villain was the #1 film on Netflix for 8 consecutive days. #1 in Australia. #1 in New Zealand. That's a crime film, but it's an emotional crime film. It's not just what you think it is by the title. It's a beautiful story. It's got a human story of its heart. It's been very successful. I then did Muscle, a black and white art house movie where I play a bisexual ex-military personal trainer who takes over someone's life. You know, incredible. I got some really good reviews for that. And then I did A Violent Man, which is another psychological piece about me and another young prisoner in prison. So I've moved into heavy dramatic roles. The Foot Soldier things that, you know, that's a film that keeps my presence. It just keeps me current, you know.
So just mentioning those movies, like they're psychological, prison, how difficult was it to get into those roles? You know,
well, I've never approached acting like that. I mean, you get your scripts and you look at the dialogue and there it is, and you weigh it up and you think, you know, how am I going to play this? And you know whether you're going to play it very sort of, you know, most of the roles, the guys I'm playing are very just real, you know, underplayed and natural.
Yeah,
just like I'm sitting here chatting to you.
Nice and comfortable for you. Yeah, absolutely. Is there any of those roles though that you've taken on that has been outside your comfort zone? You're like,
yeah, Terry in Muscle. It's an art house film. It's a great film. You should check it out. It's quite a stretch for me because quite a complex character. You know, in the there's a lot of subtext going on, but the film worked. It's got a cult following now, and it was a pleasure to do. Yeah. I know it's not your cup of tea, but you might see it one day.
I know I would literally watch anything, absolutely, and I've been getting tips off various people this weekend about different things. For Foot Soldier though, you won Best Actor Award, the National Awards. Was that one of your first big awards, or?
Yeah, and funny enough, in last year I won Outstanding Performance in Film for A Violent Man at the National Film Awards, which is me and Stephen Adubola. It's about me and a young black prisoner. I take him under my wing in prison. That's a real emotional story, but it's a great film. You know, I'm really proud of that. You know,
so going through your career and then you start getting these awards. How does that feel? Like, is it just pure recognition? Like,
it's lovely. Yeah. I mean, I'm never going to say, you know, anybody wants to win anything. It's nice to get some recognition and appreciation that somebody looks at it and goes, you know what, you know, he's done a good job there. He's a good actor. I believed him.
Yeah. And
that's the public vote.
Well, yes, exactly. Yeah. Another role, or multiple roles, I should say, that you've taken on has been voice acting. And of course, that's Call of Duty.
Yeah, let's
How,
do this.
how did that come about?
That came about when I first went to Los Angeles. I got an agent and I was going up for auditions, and I was in a bar one night having a drink, and an American started talking to me and said, you know, your voice very unusual. Obviously, you're from London, blah, blah, blah. You thought about getting a voiceover agent? And I was like, well, not really. He said, well, there's this company called Vox. You should call them up, write to them. Anyway, cut a long story short, they took me on. Following week, they said, oh, we've got an audition for you. Come in and want you to record some battle chatter, some like soldier giving orders and all that. And I did it, and that was the start. That was the first game of Call of Duty. I played Gaz in that game. They killed me off, and then they brought me back for another character, which was Ghost in Modern Warfare 2. Killed me off again, and I came back as Warcroft in Modern Warfare 3. But Ghost, I think Modern Warfare 2 is the most successful games out of the whole franchise.
Yeah. When you come to a Comic-Con, you tend to see a lot of ghosts.
Yeah, there's a lot here.
There. I saw there was a whole line of them yesterday queuing up to come to you. How do you feel though when you see these people are portraying your character, and like you're happy enough? You know,
it's incredible. It's lovely. I mean, and they're such genuinely passionate, lovely people, because they've gone through the effort to dress up. And the strange thing is, every single one of them comes over to me and says, I've got to say, you know, I cried when you died in Modern Warfare 2. and I say, you're about the 9th millionth person to say that to me.
Video games, they can kind of make people very emotional. They get very attached to these characters.
Yeah, they do.
Are you attached to Ghosts? You know,
listen, I can't make things up. It's a fact. It was a job. You know, you go there, you stand in that booth, and you try and, you know, what I learned from the people who were making these films, that they preferred actors doing the voices, because they could give them a slight little note to change something on the delivery, you know, whether they wanted it slightly emotional, you know, a little bit insecure, aggressive. And I'm got a very good ear for that. And it's hard to portray emotions through a voice, you know. But no, it all worked.
Did you like doing voice acting?
Loved it. Yeah, loved it. But then I went over to Battlefield and did a motion capture game with them. But I was lucky. I mean, I did 6 games all in all for the Call of Duty franchise. And then, like everything, they change things. You know, they want to keep it fresh, get some new voices in.
You mentioned motion capture there. I talked to the GTI guys yesterday, and they said the suits that they wore were very restrictive.
Don't even go there. Don't even go there. I got food poisoning. I was in Belgium doing this game, and I'm not being crude here, but it was like, it takes you 3 hours to get dressed to put these suits on. All these dots, headsets, you know, and you're ill.
Yeah.
Every time they'd finish me, I got to take it off. I got to go to the toilet. It was because I was ill. But the rigmarole of doing that, and then standing there in that green room, you know, with the dots, and then you watch it back of where you are. It's an incredible process, mind blowing, really is.
Would you be a gamer? Or would you have played those games? My
2 sons did, and all their mates, and I used to come in, and they'd all be playing the games, and they'd all look at me, and I go, turn it down. And they go, that's your dad. Sounds like the bloke on the game.
Did they actually know it was you?
Yeah,
or?
Of course they did. Yeah.
Just making fun.
Yeah, just making fun.
So we move on now, and we've got One Piece.
Yeah.
Very, very successful show on Netflix. How was it working on that? We obviously have Emily here as well. How was it working on that?
Well, it was an incredible. It was a long time in Cape Town, great part of the world. Fantastic show to work on. You know, my role wasn't humongous, but it was a pivotal, important role. Very emotional, and I jumped at the chance to do it. And that's what I'm saying to you, rewinding what I said to you earlier on. It's okay playing tough guys, but it's nice if you can play tough guys who have got a heart and they can deliver. You know, like in Villain, I said it's an emotional piece. All of a sudden you see this bloke who's killing people. All of a sudden you get under his skin, like the guy that I play in Boat Story. He's a big, tough but they're vulnerable. And if you can pull that off, if you can do that stuff and people believe it, it's great. How many people have come up to me at this convention and said, I loved your portrayal of Zeph. It was so emotional. You moved me. To hear that, that's gold. Because that's why you do it. That's why you act. If you can get people that reaction, it's amazing.
To get ready for that role, was that difficult because of the emotion? You've played a lot of tough guys, and then you've got Ghost and whatnot. Was it difficult to get into that emotional state for that character?
I couldn't wait to do it. My scenes with young Sanji on the island, the only thing about that show was the makeup. That was the 3 hours getting ready again. The wigs, the makeup, the moustache, the peg leg.
It was definitely a unique look for you.
Yeah, a very unique look. But I couldn't wait to do it because I've done so much modern day stuff. I'd never been in a fantasy series, so I jumped at the chance. The blonde hair, the tash, and learning the lines and getting a grip on just how much weight that Zeph had, and just the emotional side of things with young Sanji and then the older Sanji. He was a big old tough pirate, but he had a lovely heart.
I have to say his look was fantastic. And I remember seeing it first. I was like, wow, he's just great. He's so different.
Yeah.
But yet it's still you.
Yeah.
It's still quintessentially you.
Yeah.
So you really wanted to do that role.
Yeah.
Is there any other roles that, would you like to do something like a Game of Thrones, like a Lord of the
I'd
Rings,
love
that
to.
type of thing?
Yeah, I always wanted to play. As growing up, I was obsessed. I always wanted to play Bill Sykes in Oliver.
Oh, wow.
When I was younger, because I just, that role was, because I'm a massive Oliver Reed fan. But well, I'd love to be in. Yeah, the great thing about being an actor is you never know what the next day holds. I mean, I could get off of this stage now and get an email come through or WhatsApp and go, "Oh, you're going to New Zealand Saturday for 6 months." You don't know. You're walking around with a lottery card in your pocket constantly, and it's exciting.
I was just about to say that has to be very exciting for you to be like, okay, I'm in London today, great. Oh, New Zealand tomorrow. Oh, I'm over in Peru. I'm like everywhere.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier on 30 countries you've been in.
Yeah.
And you want to visit for work? Is there anywhere you want to go? Would you like to go to, say, somewhere really cold, somewhere really hot, somewhere really?
I'm waiting to do Australia. I know it's going to come up. But it's lovely to go there when you're working, because you can actually. The great thing about working as an actor, if you want a big production, they bring you in at the beginning and they keep you there because they've got the money to afford. They can't allow you to go in case there's problems with weather or someone's ill. They have to change the scenes around. So you get a lot of downtime. I mean, I was over in Cape Town. My wife came over and we saw a load of South Africa. And that is where every day that you wake up and you say to yourself how grateful you are to be in such an incredible, exciting business. I'm forever grateful for being an actor because it's given me the opportunity to see so many parts of the world, and then them down days wandering around, streets and talking to people that you sometimes you think, what am I doing here? It's incredible,
You to me, you seem like somebody who you just like working. You like just constantly working.
I do love working, yeah.
So last year when we had the strike and whatever else, did that affect you?
Oh, massively. I was on a roll. I did go. I'd been out in Cape Town for 5 months. I'd done that. I came straight home, jumped straight into another series called Boat Story for 6 months. In between that, I did another Foot Soldier film, number 6. I was just about to start another big job, and the strike hit. Then there was problems with that. That sort of there was cracks appearing. That fell away. It just had a snowball effect,
So I'm assuming as soon as that was over, you're like, right, back to work.
Yeah, but then, the Comic-Cons came in and, you're lucky to be able to do these once again, fantastic places to go and visit. You can make a trip of it and you meet fantastic people, you meet the fans, you get to chat. But it's a whole nother world that's opened up these.
Yeah. With regards to Comic-Cons, the people you meet, they're not just one-dimensional. You see so many different people, so many different types of characters. Obviously, everyone coming to you to speak to you about Ghost and about Foot Soldier and whatnot. How has it been seeing so many different people?
I love it. I really do. And you know what I appreciate is the fact of the effort and the detail. And you know, it's the people you meet. I just had someone come up to the table 20 minutes ago. I was sitting there with my agent, you know, and the lovely Fiona. And this girl just burst into tears because her memories of growing up with her dad, who's no longer here, they used to watch these films together, and she just come up to the table and I had to grab hold of her and give her a kiss and cuddle her. And I signed her some bits and pieces. I gave her some extra stuff. I said, come back later when you feel that you want to have your picture done with me, you know, but she was shaking. But I've met some incredible people doing this. Really have.
I can imagine it would make you emotional meeting
Yeah.
people like that. You
Well,
know, it's not just
I'm holding it back now,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
it's not just sign an autograph. There you go, sign. I
Yeah.
watched you over the course of the weekend. You're having chats with people. It's not just real quick. It's like you're actually getting to know them. You're chatting to them.
Yeah.
You're talking about, this character was great and that character was great.
Mm.
So you've really started to enjoy the Comic Cons now.
Yeah.
Anywhere you'd like to go for them, and you've got the big ones in America.
Well, no, I mean, the last couple of months I've been out to Bahrain, out to Stuttgart, I'm out to Holland next week, out to Spain the following week. I mean, they're coming in, you know, obviously because of One Piece, but then the fallback of the Call of Duty games and Foot Soldier in Europe is big. But the One Piece, obviously the show was #1 in 84 countries. It has a huge fan base. And they appreciate all the characters, you know. Don't get me wrong, for Emily, you know, and the Straw Hats, they're the driving force of the show. But what I've found is that the hardcore fans are really into the supporting characters as well, which is great, you know.
I always find when you look at big shows like that, obviously the main characters are always very popular.
Yeah.
But it's, as you say, it's those secondary characters.
Yeah.
Like, no, everyone kind of clings onto them.
Yeah.
It's like with One Piece, with Game of Thrones, stuff like that. They're so popular.
Yeah.
Were you prepared for how popular that would be?
No, I wasn't. I really wasn't. And I was hoping for the youngsters, because, you know, they're young actors. I was hoping that, you know, the show would be successful or be at least come, because it had been a couple of anime live action shows that hadn't really worked. I really wasn't aware of them, but I was just hoping that for the main cast, but the show just blew up. You know, it worked.
Yeah. It's really, even now,
The
it's still
detail,
huge.
everything, was incredible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it out. Does anyone have a question for Craig? We have microphones here on either side. So if you have a question, please come up to the microphone and ask your question. Yourself here, is it? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, where did you, like, from the very start, like, what did you do? Did you go to, like, acting classes, or did you play an nativity in, like, school, or, like, where did you start? Or
I started, funny enough, I got in trouble at school, and I left school early as I was young with no qualifications. I worked on building sites. I was a scaffolder. I tarred roofs for a long time, but I always wanted to be an actor. And I met someone, and they said to me, oh, there's this school. This is when I was about 18, 19. You can go and do a drama course. And I went along and I did this drama course. But there were people who had been there for like 2 years and weren't very good. And I just thought to myself, can you actually be taught to act? You know, because I find it's quite an instinctive thing. And the more you do, there's a technical side to it as well, especially on film, not so much on stage, but cameras, you know, there's a real trick but it takes a while to know those tricks, and to get comfortable, and to be confident and to be relaxed. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's a real, and once that clicks, and it only clicks by working, then that's when it happens. So to answer your question, I did the course, I left early, I got myself an agent, and I just started auditioning. And I found that I knew that I would learn my craft by working and watching and standing on film sets and watching people. Because when I was doing little parts, I'd always hang around and watch the main actors do their stuff, and watching loads of films and reading books. And it wasn't until I went to Los Angeles that I really realized that there was a technique. And it took me forever to get that technique, I'll be honest with you. I became a better actor as I got older. I wasn't very good when I was young. It's working now, though.
Thank you very much.
Great question.
I want to touch on that there. You said you kind of learned more on sets and whatnot.
Yeah.
What, who do you think kind of taught you the most, I suppose? Is there anyone in particular on sets that you think their advice was
Not
great?
really, no. I mean, the trick and the art of doing nothing. You know, Michael Caine said that. I read his book, and I used to watch De Niro and Pacino and all them people, all the American actors. You know, the stillness on certain scenes, you know, the style of it as you get closer and on the wides. There is an art to it, a technique, an art, call it what you want. And all the best actors I find, all the people that I love, the Matthew McConaughey's, the Woody Harrelsons, you know, they're intense. You know, there's that energy. Yeah, it takes a while, I think. I'm surviving. That's the main thing.
Is there anyone on these like big productions that you've worked with and you like would really love to work with again? Like, would you like a Sly Stallone, or is there anyone like I want to?
Listen,
work with them again?
I'm a massive fan of Stallone. I mean, I met the man, I shook his hand, I looked into his eyes, and I went, you know, when I first went out to Los Angeles because my mate turned around to me one day and said, I just watched that Die Hard film. You know them fellas who always got 6 geezers behind them. You could be one of them easy. And I thought, you know, and I was obsessed with the Die Hard movies. And when I went out to LA and an audition came up for, basically I had a general meeting with a lady called Mindy Marin. She was a casting director. My agent said, you got a general meeting. You're just going to go along. She's just going to chat with you. She meets certain people if she likes them by their picture. She picked me, so I went in and I met her. And she liked me. She went, I like your look. I like you. You're different. You're from London. And this was in 1991. And I was so naive and so like, wow, I was full of energy and self-belief. She said, I'm making this film, casting the new Sylvester Stallone action film. It's the biggest movie he's coming back from. It's going to be huge. It's Die Hard in the mountains. And I was like, what? And she went, yeah. And the director, I went, yeah, go on, tell me. She went, the director is Rennie Harlin. And I was like, no, not the director from Die Hard 2. I just want to meet him. Can I meet him? I don't care about the audition. I just got to come back and meet him. Anyway, 3 weeks went past. I get a phone call. They went, oh, you've got a chance to go in to meet the director. You got an audition. And I went in and I met Rennie Harlin and I said to him, mate, that film Die Hard 2. And he was looking at me and I could tell he was just looking at me. I did the audition. I didn't hear anything for about 2 weeks and I flew back to London and my agent called me right out of the blue and said, you know, you're in the mix because they now got to find 6 guys. They're casting around the world. They're looking for 6 men who are going against Sylvester Stallone, 6 big villains with John Lithgow. And I was like, oh God. And they're all going to be different. I thought, I got to stand a little bit of a chance. Surely, I'm 6'3", I'm a Cockney, I'm different. And I had to go back again and do another audition. They said, we really, really like you, but we're now going to cast in London. But you've got to go back again for another audition. So for a role where I didn't really do that much, really, more about physicality and look, I had to go back and audition again. And I was gutted. I thought, I put all this effort in, you know, being in America. Cut a long story short, I ended up getting a part. And it was the best phone call I've ever had in my life. I was in the bath. My wife come up and said to me, your agent's on the phone. I got out soaking wet. Yeah? You got an offer for the part of Delmar. And I was like, oh my God, this is the beginning. And yeah, that was
everything kind of
Before that, I'd nicked a big film in the UK called For Queen and Country with Denzel Washington. So that gave me a taste that made me go to America, just to rewind that. But yeah, it was an amazing thing.
So, but I'm not going to keep you too much longer, but what can we expect? Is there anything you can talk about, I suppose, that's coming up? Can you talk about any projects you're
You know, I've got a lot of stuff in development. You know, things have now changed for me where, you know, jobs can come out of the blue, but at the moment I'm heavily invested in 4 big projects. 2 are TV, and 2 are movies. One is another foot soldier movie that I've just been asked to do, and there's another film I've just been offered. I don't like to talk about them in case they fall through. One of the TV projects is very exciting. It's a big series, so fingers crossed they all go. But if you haven't seen Boat Story, if you've got BBC iPlayer, thank you, mate. Check it out. It's a really, really good show, Boat Story. It's out now. Opens in America on March the 12th. Vengeance will be free in the next couple of weeks on Amazon and Sky. It's not a bad little film. Yeah, that's about it. I'm trying to sell myself here.
Yeah. But before I let you go, Craig, I just want to ask, I tend to ask the actors this. Do you have any...
It's not a trick question again.
No trick questions. No, I don't do that. Well, not much. What advice would you have for any young actors coming up who want to get into movies and film? What would you say to them?
Firstly, I'd always say have a second string to your bow, because when I started out, I bought a calf. My wife was a model. We were young, and I wanted to pursue and chase being an actor, but I thought I had 2 young babies. We had kids young. I was 22. How can I need money coming in, because I'm chasing a fantasy, really. Even though I believed in myself, it was difficult. So we had a second string to our bow so we could feed everybody and keep warm. The main thing is self-belief. You can't listen to anybody, literally anybody. It's blinkers, rhino skin, zipped up to here, and you just crack on and you just go with your dreams, and you just keep visualizing yourself on screen, how you want to be seen, doing the jobs you want to do. And that's all I've ever done.
That's brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen,
anyone can.
Massive round of applause for Craig Fairbrass.
Thank you very much. Lovely meeting you all. And thank you, Ireland, Dublin especially. Thanks, mate.